Hey everyone, this is Mike Matsuno. I am back. Just wanted to check again if some of you could just let me know how the audio is and how the video, especially the audio, is it working? Can you hear me quite clearly? If you could just tell me in the comments. Thank you, Peacemaker. Peacemaker says, shout out to you from California. I enjoy your videos. Thank you very much. This computer that I'm using is a little bit slow, so sometimes I still have kind of a delay. Just wanted to let you folks know. So thank you, Peacemaker. So the audio is okay, everyone? Audio, okay? Just want to welcome all of you back. Let's see. Let's just start off with what's going on in Japan. They're having a general election for their lower house this month, the 27th. So you can see people campaigning. What is nice is that it's very limited to like a couple of weeks of campaigning. It's not like the United States, where it's like 2 or 4 years that they go. And the only really kind of distracting or kind of urusai, like just kind of a bothersome thing, is they have the senden car. Those are those campaign cars that go around and blare out, and they usually don't say much except the name because they're just trying to get name recognition. It's like a shotgun, right? They're driving around through different areas and they're just shouting a name like Okajima, Okajima, Okajima des, or something like that. And as I said before in another live stream, is that on another video actually, Japan is the most meiwaku, non-meiwaku country. Basically what I'm saying is it's the most, they always try to avoid making trouble or bothering people, but yet there are times that are just kind of, for me, like I don't really understand why. For example, they don't want to bother people, but these send-in cars are probably one of the most noisy and urusai and just bothersome things that they do. And when I asked the Japanese, like, why is that okay? Like, especially they came to the neighborhood, like this neighborhood out here. I live outside of Kyoto. They came at 8 a.m. Sunday, and not today, but in the past. And I thought I would never vote for anybody who comes at Sunday in the morning and blaring the speakers like Okajima, Okajima, Okajima des, and coming through and going around. But anyway, they're campaigning. October 27 is the time. The Liberal Democratic Party, the LDP, they want to see if they can hang on to power or not. They had a big scandal with the Abe faction, who was taking in money and their money from their different events, and they were keeping it and or not declaring it. I'm not exactly sure. And so that they are on the ballot. So we will see what happens. Japan is getting cooler. Today was last night was really the first time I felt really cool. In fact, right now it's 65 degrees. It's 11 a.m. here in Japan. It's 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and the highest will be 68 Fahrenheit, which is really nice, right? But from tomorrow again, it goes back up to the high 70s, lower 80s. So I would say that the warm weather is still going to continue for at least another week here in Japan. So yeah, really global warming, weather patterns are changing in Japan. So, you could in the future plan your trips. Like there is going to be more. So I'm sure the foliage, the changing of the color of the leaves, is going to be much later this year. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to let's see what's going on in the comment section here. Let me see if you can. So, hey, J-Star James, hi J-Star. Hey Mike, hope you're doing well. Thank you. Japan Ham is on today. Hey, Japan Ham, who I think I met you on the Shinkansen. Is that the Japan Ham that I met? Hey Masaki, hey Kevin, Cat Travel. We are big fan. Oh, thank you for being here. Good evening from Quebec. Was it Quebec? I'm trying to put it on the screen now, but I noticed that my computer does not have that power, it seems, to put on the comments on the screen. So I think I have to get a new computer. But okay. Japan Ham says, I guess I have to read the comments because I think you can see it. But Japan Ham says, hate the sound of the sound cars. Yeah, the send-in car. That is one of the most worst thing in Japan, I think, the send-in car. And CM. Cheryl. Okay, Cheryl, thanks. Hi, Mike. Glad to have you all aboard, as long as you can hear me. So, let's see. Last week, I did a talk about the nuts and bolts about traveling through Japan, at least this last fall. I just came back a week ago from a 3-week guiding experience. There were 2 tours. One was to the Shimanami Kaido. And for those of you who don't know, that's riding, like the major cycling, one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful coastal scenic route in Japan. And you can go by car, but the best way is either to ride it, and some people even walk it, but to ride your bicycle. But it's 75 kilometers long. So maybe, with including the part that you have to ride to the town itself. So it's about an 81 or 82 kilometer ride. So anyway, that was the first week. And the second week, I flew up to Hokkaido, where my sister and her group came, 5 of them plus me. And we talked about the hotel last week and transportation and just the nuts and bolts, baggage. So if you're interested in more of the nuts and bolts, the link is down in the description and you can click onto that and go to that. This week, I decided that I'm going to talk a little bit more about the actual tours that I did. And then, I'd like you to chime in. The goal of these live streams is to get you to ask questions as well as the viewers to help me out by sharing their information, because I don't know everything. I don't know very much, actually. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mike Matsuno. I'm Japanese American from Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm a 4th generation Japanese American. I've been in Japan over 30 years, but as I said before, I do not know everything. And I don't, Japan is such a vast country, 127 million people, that you can only know so much. So I am limited, but I do share my insights and observations. And if you're here for the first time and you want to join the board, please subscribe to the channel, like the videos if you do. I try to make live. I do a live stream every couple of weeks if I can, and I do some podcast videos and regular videos. So please join if you can. So again, when you and I would like you to, in the comments, to share, but please understand that there's like a time lag, maybe 10 to 20 to 30 seconds, so it might not come up right away. And also, it's limited in the number of characters you can write. So at a certain point, it will stop. So just send that and then continue. And so if it's the same topic and there's 2 or 3 messages, that's fine. It would just help the community and the people. Like, oh, I did want to talk about something that happened last week was, let's see. Oh, last week I was talking about Mexican food, right? That you can't get it. And so I am coming from my experience. And the last time I eaten Mexican food in Tokyo was probably over 20 years ago. So yes, I'm like a dinosaur. I'm way behind. But in the comments after my video, at Kao Ser Sero said that this is what he said. My experience with Mexican restaurants in Japan is completely different. There were way more in Tokyo than I would find in Europe. There is even a chain called El Torito, which is cheap and great and gives free chips. So thank you very much, Kaosero. So again, I didn't know that. And then I went and I checked online, and yes, there are 3, 2 in Tokyo and 1 in Tsukuba, outside in Ibaraki. So yes, great. There is Mexican food, El Torito, at 3 places in the Kanto area. And then I went on and I just typed in Mexican food in general, and about another list, so maybe about 20. So it seems to be there's about 20 in Japan. So if you are interested in Mexican food, I was wrong then. There are cheaper places and there are more than I thought. And I guess Kaosero said it was good. So, please help yourself. And I guess part of the reason is that I wasn't aware of it is that, first, you're normally not looking for Mexican food in Japan unless you live here, right? Like, wow, I do live here. But, most visitors are coming to Japan looking for Japanese food, right? But anyway, yes, so there is Mexican restaurants in Japan, and there is the El Torito, which I hope to try when I go to Tokyo next time. So thank you very much, Kawasero. And I do mix Mexican food too, So now let me go back a little bit to some of the comments. Yes, smash the like button. Thank you, Kevin. Japan Ham, as I mentioned, I sent my friend a copy of the Toso maps, and he used them when he recently did. You're not going to believe this, but I met Japan Ham on the Shinkansen when I was going from Shimanami to Kix Airport to fly between the 2 tours. I'm in the green car with my Alaskan friends after the Shimanami, and somehow he must have heard. He said he heard my voice. Maybe you can comment in the comment. He heard of my voice, and then he heard one of the other people, Peter, call my name, Mike, and then he came up to me and he says, I'm Japan Ham, and I knew Japan Ham because he comments one of the most. Anyway, Japan Ham, welcome. I know you go to church on Sunday usually, and you're here today. Well, thanks for being here. But anyway, what are the odds that I would see someone who, there's not many who recognize me or know me, but he did on the Shinkansen green car. He was coming back from Fukuoka after a job. We took a picture together. In the recorded video, I'll try and put that picture into the video itself. But anyway, yeah, it was nice to be recognized by my voice basically on the Shinkansen going between the two tours. So thank you. Nice to hear from you. Of course, Japan, it was great to see you. So I decided also that after thinking about it is that I had written out some things about the Shimanami, but I'm going to do a shorter version about the Shimanami Kaido because I think that's more of a niche market. There's not that many people who are going to do the Shimanami. And I'll talk more about the other part from Hokkaido down to Tokyo. I will do, I think, a live stream only about the Shimanami Kaido because that's where people who want to do the cycling or the walking or the riding to the Shimanami Kaido. So, okay, Guy. Okay. Thank you, Guy. So, the Shimanami Kaido, as I said before, it's a 75 kilometer, 55, 60 miles, and one way. And most people consider just doing it one shot. So you rent a bike in Onomichi in Hiroshima and you ride. But 75 kilometers is long. You're looking at 8 to 10 hours, around there, somewhere around there. Depends how fast you ride. And that's on a regular bicycle. I would suggest if you're not experienced or you have older people with you or maybe even younger teenagers or maybe children might be a little rough, but an e-bike, getting them an e-bike. So e-bike is like a motorized, it has a battery and it has all these gears. It's different from a battery assisted bike. They also have that. So you could get the battery assisted bike or you could get the motorized e-bike. The e-bike is at so much a higher level. The only problem that a couple of the riders that we had with me, I had 8 people originally. I had 7 people with me that were supposed to ride. One came down. He was ill. He had cancer, so he couldn't ride at the end. But and I had a senior group, so there were different health issues, and so it was a big challenge. And in the video that I make about the Shimanami in the future, I will talk more about that in depth. About you could still do it, but you have to be much more careful about planning and setting a course because you can't just do the typical route. So the typical route is just one shot all the way through, 8, 10, 12 hours maybe. Other people, they go halfway and then they stay overnight and then they go to Imabari. So Onomichi in Hiroshima to Imabari in Shikoku. You're going over 6 islands, 6 huge suspension bridges. It's amazing the high you get because you're so high up. I mean, you're literally high up and you're going through you're going across these bridges and it's just invigorating. I can't explain more. But anyway, that's the way to do it. The problem is that there's different challenges that you should be aware of if you do decide to do the Shimanami Kaido. If you're going to do it just a one-shot deal, Onomichi to Imabari, or you could do the reverse, go to Imabari and come the other way, and you can ride 75 kilometers or 82 kilometers total because after you get to the other side of the bridge on the Shikoku Island, you still got to ride 6 to 7 kilometers to get to the town. So let's say 82 kilometers. If you can do it, fine. That's it, right? And that's what a lot of people do. But I don't support that idea so much. I think by just doing it one shot, that's if you're young and you just want to put it on your bucket list that you did it. But if you want to see the area, if you want to stop along the way, if you want to see the local people, if you want to intermingle or interact, then you should break it up into different parts. But even if you do the halfway mark and then you go, what happens is, one, your baggage, you're going to stay overnight. Can you carry in your backpack the bags? Because a lot of these bikes don't have a basket or a back like a rack like the e-bikes don't have. You could request, I heard, but for most part they don't have. And if you use the battery assisted bike, they do have a basket, but again, the battery assisted bike only has 3 gears, and one is for riding uphill. So we had one person who switched from an e-bike to a battery assisted, and they had a hard time going up. But they found it more comfortable because you're more in an upright position. It had a basket and it had a softer seat. That was another thing. Some people, 2 of the riders on my tour they got saddle burn from the e-bike. And so they switched to a battery assisted bike, which is more of the upright. I just watched Project X last night on television on NHK. And did you know that the battery assisted bike was created and established and made here in Japan by Yamaha? They were the first in the world to create and develop the battery assisted bike back in the 1990s, I think. And then today, I think it's in like 36 countries, that technology. But anyway, they created the battery assisted bike, and they talked about why it wasn't a motorized vehicle, it was a bicycle, and how they had to figure out how to market it and everything. But anyway, the battery assisted bike is also there, the e-bike is also there. But I would say that if you can, the e-bike is the best way to go, but you're kind of like bent over a little bit. So if you have a hard time bending over, as well as the e-bike has a bar, kind of a high bar, like the old style American bikes, for males, that they had a bar in between. So for some females, it might be a little bit more difficult, or people who have a hard time getting their legs over the bar. So just to let you know, so those are some of the issues with that. The baggage is another thing. And the last thing about, if you do it on a one shot, you have to find a rental shop that has their sister shop on the other side, so you can return the bike here. And if you do that, I think you still lose the deposit because they have to transport it back up. So you want to make sure you find that out. Now, e-bikes are a different situation. E-bikes we rented from the Shimanami bike rental shop on Onomichi side. They want you to bring the bike back by 6 p.m. on that same day because they have to charge it. They don't give you a charger like other companies like Giant Bicycle does and things. So you have to bring it back. So what we did was use Onomichi as a base camp, and we did 3 shorter routes at different parts of the Shimanami. And that worked. And so that's something that I probably would recommend for people first time, or once you want to see the area, right? Because think about it. If you're just doing the one shot, it's just like running a marathon and then it's over. So if that's your goal, great. But if you want to combine riding the Shimanami as well as interacting with some of the local people and just eating some of the local food or staying overnight as you go, I would suggest breaking it up into different parts. And you could do that by having different places to stay, or you could do what we did, so we didn't have to carry baggage with us or our things for overnight, by using either Onomichi or Imabari, as I did last year, as a base camp, and just taking the ferry out and riding back, or riding out and taking the ferry back, or taking the ferry out, riding around and taking the ferry back. There's several options. The only thing that I do want to warn you about the ferries is that because the bridges came in and people now drive, the ferry, the amount of ferries that run are very limited, and their times have gotten much less, and they only run between like 1 every hour and a half to 2 hours. So if you miss it, you're going to have to wait. You also have to calculate how far you can ride to make sure that you can get to the ferry pickup point, or the ferry, if you're coming back. Because if you miss the last ferry, you're SOL. You cannot come back. I mean, you would have to probably call a taxi. There is something called a bicycle taxi that I read about, but I've never used it, where there's a special taxi that will come and pick up your bicycle. Now, again, there's a difference between bicycles and e-bikes. Bicycles are quite light. Maybe they go up to 10 to 20 pounds. E-bikes are about 45 to 50 pounds, which means that it affects the ferry. If they have the small ferry, then if they can only take so much weight. And so if you have an e-bike and you're waiting, and then the ferry is full with other bicycles and people, you might be refused. And they will take you, the human being, but the bike would have to stay. But these are very unusual and rare circumstances, but you should know that just in case. And I want to warn you one more thing. There are ferries on the Imabari side that say, you don't know until you go there. We just found out last year when we went there, that says something to the effect that certain ferries, they don't allow you to bring bicycles on because they're transporting like produce and a lot of food and things. And so last year we were going up, and I found out on the way, and then I said, oh no, I didn't want to wait 3 hours for the one that we could load bicycles on. So on the ferry, I negotiated with the ferry driver or the ferry staff. He was a hard-looking, like tough-looking guy and like a professional wrestler. And I tried to be, in Japanese, I was trying to explain that and I used my friends, which was true. I said, my friend here, he's 81 years old, and and his wife is 77, I need to get them. I worry. I mean, I was kind of using that, but it was true. And he was nice enough to say, okay, because he was going to be the one coming back on the ferry, that he said that we could use the ferry, so we were able to come back on that. Anyway, just a couple of things with the ferry. So, okay, so again, I would do another video or live stream about riding the Shimanami. However, the last thing I do want to say, it's an amazing trip, and anybody who's done it, most people have always said that they're so glad they did it. So even if you're not that experienced, you could do a short route. You could just take it in the area, ride there, ride back, or ride through somewhere and take the ferry back. So it's open to everyone. The other thing you have to be careful of is the weather, and this is something you cannot control. It is typhoon season right now, and if we had a typhoon hit when we were supposed to ride, it would not be possible, and you need a backup plan. And I didn't have a backup plan, so fortunately we were able to ride through. It's a little cold once it gets into like December, January, February, but people start riding again in March, end of March, maybe April. A lot of people go to the island that we rode, Sakishima, for cherry blossoms. So you want to take the ferry out there, ride around, see the cherry blossoms, and either ride back or take the ferry back. There's several things you can do. So if you're more on the active side, you may want to take that up as something that's possible. Okay, so I'm going to skip over the rest of my Shimanami material here. And let me take a couple, is there anything that, excuse me one second. Okay, so, everybody seems to be okay. Okay, so if any questions, please list them. I go to it now and then. And if those of you in viewing, if you can answer the questions that people have said, please do, because again, I do not know everything. So what happened was, I said before, and I was teasing my sisters that, my sister was supposed to give me a break between the two tours. They just happened to be, like back to back, because I was going to take vacation. But in the end, I decided to leave the company. But anyway, the way it worked out now is that my sister actually overlapped the two tours. So as soon as I left Onamichi with my friends, taking them to Kix, Kansai Airport. That's where I met Japan Ham on the green car of the Shinkansen going to Osaka. Then they flew home and I flew to Hokkaido. And so this group was 5 people from Hawaii and myself. My sister, her husband Patrick's elder sister Karen, and my cousin Cheryl and her husband Guy. So a good group, easy to group. So again, the people you take if you're guiding, or the people you're traveling with, are probably the most important, the two things, right? The people you're with and the people and your guide. So the rest doesn't really matter. Whatever you see, no matter how good or how bad it is, that's the most important thing. So we had a really good, both tours, I had great people, so it was no problem. But that could be an issue for some people. Anyway, so we're in Sapporo. Now the first day and a half, 2 days, the first day I wasn't there because my sister scheduled it overlapping. But I'm just going to give you some of the comments that she said. Now, a lot of you like Royce chocolate, right? That's a big omiyage, a big souvenir item, right? People buy at Kansai Airport or Tokyo, and normally it has to be refrigerated, and they put ice in, and on and on and on. Royce chocolate. Well, the Royce Chocolate Factory, they established a new tour in the Sapporo area. I didn't go, but my sister and she took the group, her and my cousin, they led the group. So I'm just going to give you their comment. So for those of you who are thinking of going to Sapporo and doing the Royce Chocolate Factory, they both give it a ranking between 6 and maybe 7 to 7.5. So not that high, but not that low. One of the problems was that it was a weekend. And so normally you can see them producing and the factory actually working. They got big windows, I guess. And because it's a weekend, they were off, so you couldn't see that. So my sister had said that was kind of a minus, but couldn't be helped. We also went to the Tanaka Sake factory. That they make a sake that I bought from my friend Jeff that only is made in Otaru and only served in Otaru. And that too was the same. It was interesting, but again, they were not working, so you could not do the tour. You could not see because they were off. It was a weekend. So my sister then talks about something called Shiroi Kobita Park, which is another kind of a chocolate factory tour. And She says that maybe she should, she didn't want to go there because it was too touristy. So if any of you have been on the Shiroi Kobita Park tour, in the comments, could you write if you thought it was good or worth it, and what score would you give it from 1 through 10, 10 being the highest? So my cousin though Cheryl enjoys chocolate very much. So they did do a making the chocolate tour. I don't know, making the chocolate class or tour. I'm not sure what you call it. Anyway, they made, and she said making the chocolate was fun. Being a chocolate lover, I enjoyed seeing the candy wrapper collection. I'm not sure what that is, but in the comments you can ask her. The rice store had a nice selection of choices for omiyage, souvenirs, presents, items that you would only be able to get there and not at the airport or other stores. So in Japanese, they use the word gente. Gente means limited edition, like only here or only this season, or those are the powerful sales words that you will hear a lot of Japanese salespeople use. Gente. My cousin Cheryl made a kind of a joke that gente also could mean like sucker, like because then you feel like you gotta buy it, right? So anyway, it's a very cute joke because it could be true, right? Gente, saying gente makes people buy, right? But anyway, gente is a major thing. Then she also added that the ice cream was amazing. I'm a chocolate lover, but her husband Guy's vanilla was really good. So Royce, chocolate tour, for those of you who have done it, please give a score or say in the comments what you think. Those of you who have done the Shiroi Bito tour, please also, just to give other people. I have not done them, so I do not know. Another thing that my sister did when I was not there on that same day, was the Autumn Fest Food Festival, which they gave a score of about, my sister gave a score about 8. And that's when, Sapporo, they're famous in the summer for blocking off the entire odori. There are blocks, not just one block, but like blocks, like 4 or 5 blocks of, like, they do beer. Sometimes they do Kirin, Sapporo. They each have a block. This is the Autumn Food Festival, which I did not attend again. But my sister is, is a good cook, and she enjoys food. And so if you're a foodie, this sounds like it would be something that you might want to do. She wrote that they have different blocks for ramen, for meat, for alcohol, for different Hokkaido regions. And there was a lot of good variety of food that were inexpensive and provided a good way to try different foods. My cousin also gave it a ranking of 8. She really liked it, but she said that she would have spent more time and tried more items if she could, because they just serve, like little portions, right? They're like little tapas you get. I'm sure they're not that cheap either, but they're like tapas. And they had a group of 5. I wasn't there, but they had 5, and so they would all buy things and they would all share. So they had like gyoza, karaage, steak, yakitori. So if you're in a group more or less and you enjoy trying different foods, it'd be great to everybody buy something and you just kind of share if you can find a table or a place to sit. So again, the Autumn Festival food gets a pretty high score, 8 by my sister and by my cousin. Let me see if I see anything from them. Okay, so you can see in the comments here, I'm not going to be able to go all over the comments and put it onto my screen, but you can see what Masaki is saying. Dinner's ready, got to go. Okay, Madhata, did you go to the head? No, I didn't go, Madhata, to the head Buddha place. Cheryl, okay, maybe next time, surrounded by Madhata, next time maybe. Cheryl said they had a hallway with a framed candy wrappers. Okay, that sounds fun. Madhata went to the chocolate factory with a friend and took a train from Sapporo. Autumn Food Fest was 7 blocks. 7 blocks. Wow. Madhata Beer Festival is from July through August. Okay, that's the one that I attended 3 or 4 years ago. That every block is a beer company. Guy said yakitori and wagyu sticks with Sapporo original draft beer. Oishi. Okay, so in the comments, you can see for yourself what people are saying. So please feel free to give advice, give suggestions, ask questions. And if those of you could answer those questions, please asking them as I move through this. Okay, and the day I arrived that night, and then the next day we went to Otaru. Now, for those of you, how many of you like Otaru? For most Westerners, I think, there's a big build-up about the canal, the Unga. And when you get there, a lot of people go, oh, is that it? And it's not because they don't appreciate it. It's more about context. It's about, what you know about it. And so when I first went to Otaru, how many years ago? 30 years ago, when I was riding the bicycle around Hokkaido, I heard about this unga and we went. And then I thought, wow, it's a bunch of old storehouses. That's it. And that's what they are. They're old, they're like houses that, brick storehouses. But anyway, there's a romantic image of these these storehouses and the canal. And I will say, I went 3 years ago in the winter. In the winter, with the lights out and the snow there, it is very beautiful. And also at night, if we were there in the day, at night, I think it's much more romantic, more serene, much more scenic. So if you go in the day when the sun's out, like it was for us, like my sister said, oh, that's it. And then she moved on. So even she wrote in one of her comments is that maybe we should have stayed there longer. I think you have to know the history a little bit and the whole idea of the unga. But for many people, the people in Otaru and the people in Hokkaido, the Otaru unga is very, very special. And a lot of Japanese go up there just to go to the unga, the canal. And there's not that much there. You can do a boat ride that just goes up and down, very short, and then there's shops all around, but there's not that much. But again, it's the whole image of the romantic canal. And I guess if you go on a date or something, you take your boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, I guess it's very romantic. I came to like it because after I also stayed there for 2 weeks as a I volunteered to work at this guest house 30 years ago, and every day I'd go down and look at the unga, and they would have musicians playing, street musicians and other people. I liked it. It was fun. But again, I think it kind of grows on you. So for most Americans or foreigners, probably the canal is not that exciting. But again, manage your expectations, because if not, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. Okay. And try to go in the winter or at night. Also, during the Yuki Matsuri, the snow festival in Sapporo, Otaru has their own snow festival at the same time. So you could do a day trip there. And there they line up with thousands of, well, I don't know if it's thousands, but at least hundreds of candles all the way through the Otaru city to give it this whole atmosphere of not only romance, but it's just beautiful. I only saw the video. I haven't been there during the winter because when I went, they had canceled it because of coronavirus. But again, that would be something to do also. So the Otaru, the score was 8 from my cousin. The thing that they really enjoyed was along the street, not the canal, and on that main street closer into the city, they have all different kinds of food. Like my cousin wanted to try letao, Letao, which is the cheesecake and sample cookies, that she had read online, and she really enjoyed that. So there were several letao outlets or shops along the way. She also went to what is called Sawawa, which is a matcha store, and she said that she bought matcha butter, green tea milk beans, and the mochi. And she really liked the matcha ice cream, but so she thinks that's for her was a highlight too. So again, and we did go to the sake factory there, which was about a 15-minute walk from that main street, and it was okay. But again, it wasn't running, so we weren't able to see much. They have like little signs, but you can't really understand so well unless you see it. So I wouldn't recommend going there on the weekend. Probably on the weekday if you are gonna go. But if you want to get the special sake that only is sold and distributed within Otaru City, then Tanaka Sake is that place. So again, Otaru is great for food. So this is what I think people should understand before they think about, should I go to Hokkaido or not? I would suggest on your first visit to Japan, maybe you want to do the Silk Road route. And that's the Japanese Silk Road route that I gave it that name. It's basically a Tokyo, Kyoto, maybe Osaka, and maybe Hiroshima. And that's the main route. See the temples, see the shrines, see the cultural things, see all the different, the architecture and everything. Because Hokkaido is a completely different world. Hokkaido is like the Alaska of Japan. Now, scale completely different from Alaska. I lived in Alaska 7 years, so I know the difference. It's completely different. However, just keep that in mind as kind of an example. And so there are very few temples or shrines, maybe one in Sapporo, and so it's if you go to Hokkaido, it's about nature, national parks, onsen, hot springs, and food, different kinds of food and fresh food, especially after the harvest. I would call it like the bread basket of Japan. That's my name, not the Japan's. But where in the summer they produce I think all the potatoes or onions. I can't remember. The fish, the salmon, just the corn, the melon. All of that is from Hokkaido. So if you want food, as well as if you see in Otaru, the way they have marketed and the way they have created things to sell is really amazing. They're very, very savvy at marketing their food products in different forms and different tastes. And a lot of it is dessert driven. So of course, and you also have a lot of female visitors. You have male, but a lot of female because, it's built on, desserts and cakes and all kinds of fun stuff to eat, matcha ice cream and things. So yes, Otaru might not be the most scenic spot, but I like the unga now. It took me a while to really, it grows on you. But again, you might want to go for tasting and eating the food. If you watch YouTube online videos, there's lots of them about the different foods and you can decide what you want. And there's a little music box places that they're famous for, and glass blowing was famous because they used to make the fishing glass bowls long ago, and then now they kind of transitioned into making different kinds of design and new styles of glassware as well as the music boxes. On the second day we went to the Daisetsuzan National Park, but hold on, before I just want to see if there's anything. Okay, hi Wally, hi Andrew, hi Mad Hatta. Okay, Yakitori Wari. Okay, so we went to Daisetsu Shizan National Park. And this is something that people might want to remember is that my sister asked me, should we do a regular tour that costs less, or should we rent our own van? And I said, oh, definitely, you should do the van if it doesn't cost that much more. I mean, it's going to cost more, but that way you have more flexibility. You can stop for the bathroom or whatever you want. And then she asked me, do you think we need an English guide? Because I could translate. And I said, if it doesn't cost that much more, get the English guide, because I think it's different when the Japanese person talks directly to the people in the tour. If I was translating everything, I think it takes something out. I've never been a fan of translation because no matter what, it's filtered as well as it's watered down sometimes and things. And so she did that, and that was probably one of the best decisions that she made on the tour, was to do a custom tour where we rented a van. We had 6 of us. I think it could have taken 8 maybe, and we asked for an English speaker. And we had an English speaker by the name of Hayate Igoshi, and this is under the MK Taxi or MK Tour company, and he was excellent. In fact, I would say that thanks to him, he made the difference between a good tour and an excellent or great tour. That extra 10-15% was his personality. He was fun. He knew English very well. That's another thing. You want someone who speaks English well, not someone who just knows the minimum. He liked movies. He liked Nicolas Cage. He liked Con Air. So he had a lot of those expressions and stuff. He was fun, and so he gave us that extra 10-15% that made the tour from good to excellent. So thank you to Hayate Igoshi. If you're out there listening, Igoshi-san, arigatou gozaimashita. So we sent the tour, went to Daisetsu Shizan. But my sister wasn't that happy because her goal was to see the changing leaves. And I had warned her that this year it's late. As you can see, it's still warm, right? So even in Kyoto, it's going to be, I don't know when, maybe mid-November, end of November, December, I don't know. But it's going to be later. So the leaves were just starting, so you couldn't really see the full colors. So to drive out there was kind of a far drive. I think it was 2.5 hours from Sapporo. So, it's nice to see the area, but it was a kind of a far drive. And so she was a little disappointed. We took the ropeway up, and then you take another ski lift to the next place. And I liked it. I like to be outside in the nature, I guess, I wish I had a couple of days there staying. I would suggest if you like to go hiking, stay a couple of nights and hike in that area, because we were kind of on a rush, right? So we went up and then we looked around, took some photos, and it wasn't changing. So we came back down. And then from there, we went to different places. We went to the BA Blue Pond. The blue pond that you see on so many online videos. And it really is blue and super blue. I mean, and if you use the video or you use the camera, it actually comes up bluer. But again, even without that, in the natural color, it really is blue. And what I heard is that it's not always blue. It depends on the weather. Sometimes depending on the rain and whatever, it can change that it's not as blue. So we caught it on a very blue. But anyway, the blue pond, definitely. If I had a couple of days too, I would stay in that area of BA. I love BA. I stayed there before 30 years ago. Beautiful area with the patchwork, and they have all like the farming going on. It's very, very country, but it's beautiful. Maybe you could rent a bike, ride around there. Anyway, I would love to ride around that area with a rental bike or something. Anyway, so BA Blue Pond. What is also interesting is that my brother-in-law loves soft cream, or soft serve, they call it. I call it soft cream. And wherever we went, this is Hokkaido, they were able to market different colors of soft cream depending on what that area was. So like if it was the lavender on the patchwork, we did go to that area after the pond. It was purple, right? Purple serve. And then when we were at the blue pond, guess what color? Blue. And I guess it was more of a vanilla taste, or like a sorbet, I think some people call it. And they also had like nikuman. In Hawaii, we call manapua. That was blue, And then in Otaru, I think it was it yellow? It was yellow. And then for matcha places, of course, it's green. So Hokkaido has figured out how to match the color to the item they're selling, as well as whatever is the representative of that area. So brilliant. Anyway, so soft cream. And it's very delicious. And again, because all the dairy, I think almost all the dairy comes from Hokkaido. Supposedly you get the fresh milk, the fresh ice cream, or the fresh soft cream. So highly recommended. Please, eat soft cream if you like ice cream. Let's see. I'm going back to the comments now. Manhattan, I was lucky enough on the yellow triangle that they was able to see all the tourists without the crowd. Yeah. Oh, regarding crowds, we were quite fortunate. There wasn't that many tourists because this is kind of off season. This is like October. I mean, actually, sorry, in Hokkaido it's on season, but I didn't see that many people because Hokkaido is quite far to go for most people, and so it's not on the Silk Road route either. So there were a lot of people, but not that many. So I think that we were lucky in that sense. But anyway, Blue Pond, and then we went to see the patchwork, which really is, I think the peak is in July when you can see lavender. I would love to go back to Hokkaido to see lavender again. That's one of my favorite seasons. And you can buy the purple soft cream, right? So this day, my sister rated as a 10 out of 10. Now for her, she's really strict. So if she gave it a 10, it must have been a great day. And again, a lot goes to the guide. So if you use MK Taxi Tours in Sapporo, please request Hayate Igoshi. Igoshi is his last name. Really a great guy, really a fun guy, and we had no problems at all. And whenever we wanted to stop for something to eat, to grab for lunch, we just grabbed like a sandwich, he stopped and things. So again, thanks to him. Now, getting back to Sapporo, went back to Sapporo and shopping in Sapporo. For those of you who like shopping, you could probably write in the comments where you like to shop in Sapporo if you are a Sapporo shopper. There was a street called Tanuki Koji Shopping Street, and my cousin and my sister weren't that excited about that. They said it was okay, 6 to 7, so nothing that high. They enjoyed some of the restaurants there. They had a problem with the Google Maps trying to find this one, I think, tea shop that they had, the matcha store that they were looking for. And it was completely in the wrong area. So again, the Google Maps, and I'm going to give you my take on Google Maps, is that I have never been a fan of Google Maps or Apple Maps or Navi. And so I have not found a good app yet. But again, it could be me. Because I'm more right brain. I don't have that detailed oriented mind like that computer technician or the engineer mind. So, and sometimes you're underground and you're above ground and you don't know which one that they're matching it to. But anyway, I would say 85% maybe correct for me on Google Maps, 15% not correct. And Navi, my good friend Carrie Ann is a big fan of Navi. And she asked me why I didn't think it was good, and I said I've tried it, but it's never worked. And then it was a Japanese style to me that I had to then do the paid form, or I don't know. Anyway, I told her I'd give it a try again because she was very adamant that it was really good. So for some people, Navi might really work. And her friends also said Navi works. I have people who I know say Google Maps is really good, but both of them for me have not been that great. I use them, but I have to always think in my mind that it's probably going to be a mistake. So I do a lot of asking as I use Google Maps. I ask at least 3 people going to wherever I'm going to make sure that I'm on course. And Apple Maps is as good as Google Maps, not that great. So anyway, they did end up finding the matcha store, but it took them a long time. I wasn't with them. I had gone off to the bank, I think it was, and they enjoyed the matcha ice cream, I think the black sesame ice cream, and they bought a lot of nori. My cousin Cheryl is a nori fanatic, not fanatic, but a nori fan. She eats nori every day, I think. So they bought a lot of nori. In fact, I never met anyone in my life who likes nori as much as my cousin Cheryl and her husband Guy. So nori to the max. Let's see, restaurants in Sapporo. There was some place called the Kani Honke crab restaurant, which was quite famous. It was given a score of an 8. There is also a restaurant called Wako Tonkatsu, which we ate tonkatsu there, given 9. So again, and we had sushi we took home and things. So all meals in Sapporo were pretty good. I would say between 8 and 9. And that the crab was really good, but it's quite expensive. If you want just crab, then you're talking, quite high. But if you don't mind spending the money, you can eat a lot of crab if you want. There are a couple of nights that if you're in a group of people that you can get along with and it's fun, that we bought food from outside or along the street food and we brought it back into one room and 6 of us had dinner there. I think that was also a good break from just going into a restaurant. It was different, but I think it was more intimate, in the way, not intimate in the sense that it was more personal and it was more fun and we could try different foods. So for those of you who are in small groups, you may want to do okay, everybody buy 2 things and bring it to the room, and someone rooms becomes the base camp, and you buy your beer or whatever you're going to drink and you have maybe 1 or 2 hours just together. I think that was actually kind of a nice change of pace. So I would recommend that if you have a small group. Now, if you're only a couple or a single, that still could be fun, but maybe not as much as fun as with a group that you get along with. We went to Noboribetsu after that. This is the largest onsen in Hokkaido, and it's famous for its what is it called? Jikoku Tani, I think. It's the valley of hell, or it's like the time where the land where time forgot, because as you walk through, you see the huge mountains with the white sulfur burning and things and all. And it's a short hike, not hard. You can walk around and take a lot of nice photos. And from there, we went into the onsen. And again, the people on the tour, they enjoyed that. They gave it a 9. Again, this would be another nice place that you might want to stay overnight and do a hike up higher. We weren't able to hike very far because we were on a schedule. We were taking the train there and back from Sapporo. So you might want to do that. Again, Noboribetsu is very nice. Maybe stay a night or so. So, you could stay in Bie a night or so. You could stay at Daisetsuzan. You could stay in Noboribetsu. So this was kind of a good idea to just get a taste of where you might want to go. Like for us, if we wanted to spend maybe 2 or 3 nights, that we have a better idea. This is what my cousin said, and so we enjoyed the onsen! It was also nice because it wasn't crowded. The only thing that happened to them, which was funny, was that they got scolding because of the shoes. They didn't know where the entrance was exactly, right? Because it's very tricky in Japan, and so you have to be very observant. And I never paid much attention until this trip because they got scolding. And this didn't only happen one time. It happened like 3 or 4 times in different places when you could see the people, the host or the lady at the restaurant there, they panic because when you take off your shoes, it's like the idea of uchi and soto. Uchi means in, soto is out. So dirty, bad things, stay out. And uchi is in. So the moment you take off your shoes stay outside because they're dirty. They bring in, whatever, dust or dirt or viruses or whatever. You step in with your socks or, your feet. There's that line. But again, the line is kind of ambiguous. And so just last week, went to the gym to play pickleball. And in Japan, people always have two sets of shoes, for the one for the gym and one for outside. Like in America, you just have the same shoes and you just walk into the gym, right, to play. Well, in Japan, you're supposed to have another pair that's, I guess, basically clean or only for gym use, and the other one for, if tennis shoes or whatever, Nike or whatever you use, for outside use. And you do the switch. So you get there, you take off the dirty shoes or and then you put on the gym shoes. You play with the gym, you come back, take off the gym shoes, put on the old shoes, and then put those in your bag. So you got to carry them, right? Which for most foreigners is kind of mendokusai, a lot of troublesome. And I remember when I was young, I shouldn't have done this, but I remember only having one pair, and I would just wipe the bottom and then kind of put it down and then take it in and use it again, which don't do that. But, so that's what, like if you don't have two pairs. But anyway, so I've been watching, and now I think I understand why it's so tricky, because there's 3 different levels in the shoe kingdom, the shoe taking off kingdom. The first is when you get there, there's there's 4. There's the concrete. Okay, you get into the gym, there's the concrete. On the concrete is a carpet. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, okay, maybe I take off my shoes. Well, that's where you take off your shoes, the carpet. The next step up is the wooden platted kind of, it's about this wide and it's wood. And then there's another step up to the actual floor or carpeted area. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Where do you take off your shoes? Well, I didn't know either until I watched, and I found out. You take it off on the carpet. And then, so your socks that, are clean, that you step on the carpet. So I guess that's kind of like the neutral area. And then you step onto the wood with your socks, and you pick up your shoes from the carpet, the dirty shoes, and put the shoes into the shoebox. And then when you come back, you do the reverse. You grab those shoes and put it on the carpet, not on the wood. A lot of people, and this was happened with my sister and my cousin folks, they thought the wood was the area that you put the shoes on because it's a step. Remember, there's like 4 areas. There's the floor, carpet on there, wooden plat, slightly elevated, and then the floor. So it's like that. So of course, who would really know? But anyway, when they got to the onsen, they were wearing they were wearing shoes. And then they got to the entrance and then I guess they walked in because they didn't see the sign, and then they got scolding, and then the lady was really mad, and that became a funny story for us to talk about. But it didn't only happen once. It happened at the restaurant in Hakodate. It also happened at other place that, and then another problem is sometimes foreigners take off their shoes early, like on the concrete part before the carpet, and they're walking around outside with their socks or bare feet. That's a no-no too, right? Because you're now clean feet are going on the dirty floor outside of the carpet, and you're walking inside, bringing that in. That's a no-no. So there's a whole science to this, which I, after 30 years, didn't really understand until they got scolding so much. And then I learned by watching the gym. And also, anyway, I'm sorry to run on about that, but that was a very funny story about the actual shoes and things. I'm looking here. J-Star says, would you suggest a Hokkaido tour for families with younger people or only seniors over 60 as you guided? Are there family-friendly things for younger college kids to do in Hokkaido? Yes, J-Star, if the younger people like outdoors, you could do cycling, you could do hiking, you could do that. I would suggest Hokkaido is for families or young people who want to be active outside. If you want to do shopping, yes, you could do it in Sapporo, but you could do shopping anywhere basically. You got a few different things. But again, it's more about outdoor nature. Think about it. Why would you go to Alaska? And the same idea for, I think, Hokkaido at a lesser scale. But again, you would go to Alaska more for the outdoors, pristine, environment, nice air. Well, Alaska is not known for food, but Hokkaido has the benefit of food and pristine environment. And as I said before in a video, very, very nice people, different from Tokyo, Osaka people. Sapporo people are a little bit, not a little bit, they're quite different. I think they're more easygoing and things. So yes. Okay, like J-Star wrote, like my Japanese doctor official, I believe Hawaii people can confuse the slipper culture to shoes and no socks. Not hard for Alaskan boots. Yeah, not hard for Alaskan boots. Okay, yeah, not hard for Alaskan boots. Okay, so The whole slipper thing was a funny story. Hakodate. We got to Hakodate. Hakodate is one of my favorite places of Hokkaido because it's a very romantic city. You can see it out of the three best night views of harbor night views. It's Nagasaki, Kobe, and Hakodate. We did try to go, but just so happened that was the only day we had bad weather. Probably starting in the late afternoon, and it started pouring. And I thought that we could still go up. We did try and go to the top at night after the dinner, but it was like blowing. It was like, and my sister, the taxi driver says, okay, if you wait a few minutes, it might clear up. And my sister, since we got there, it was so cold and blowing, getting wet that she go, oh, no, okay, let's go home. Let's go home already. So we didn't even stay. Then the taxi drivers, talk about good service. The two of them were taking our group because we couldn't sit more than four in a taxi, right? We had six. On halfway down, when it just cleared from the cloud cover, they stopped. We went out. There's a background of some of the lights, and we took a photo. And they were so cute. They had their little pen light flashlights, and they were shining it on us like a spotlight. And actually, the iPhone is sensitive enough that it took actually a pretty good photo for that pen light with the lights in the back. And if you look at it, you don't even know that it's halfway down and it's done by pen light. So again, that was due to the kindness of the taxi drivers of Sapporo, that they really let us do that picture. But we never really got to see it from the top. But I would suggest that if you have a chance, definitely do that at night or even in the day. And there is a hiking trail that goes up. Although the cars go around and around and around, the hiking trail is 45 minutes to an hour. And when I was young, 30 years ago, I did that 3-4 times in a week just because it's good exercise and it was kind of neat to go to the top. You got to do it in the day, not at the night though. But again, if you're interested in exercise and hiking, hike up the Hakodate mountain in an hour, roughly an hour. But we did have two really good meals in Hakodate. And one was a kaiseki restaurant called Ryote Fumoto. And my sister found this. Again, my sister did all the planning. She figured it all out. And it was more kaiseki style. We got a private room. It wasn't that expensive. Probably roughly, my sister said about $70 a person. But what I think, again, it's all about the people, right? I always say, more than anything. We happened to have a server by the name of Yoshi. And Yoshi had studied in Toronto, Canada. And so he spoke English. He had studied abroad for 2 years exchange. I think he was studying hairdressing or something to that matter. And he came back. And so I was asking him, well, why are you working in the restaurant if you were, you got certified and you were trained in Canada for hairdressing? And then he told me that, this is his family's restaurant. He's actually, I think he was the eldest son, and his father is the owner of the Ryote Fumoto. So his name is Yoshi Fumoto, and he took over. But anyway, Yoshi was so kind and so hospitable to us. He explained all the food. There's a lot, Japanese like to talk about the little details of the food. Or this is from here or there. And there's, like gente, there's only this season or whatever. Yoshi was able to explain to us everything in beautiful, clean, clear English that made the experience that much more. Again, 10 to 15% push up thanks to someone who is fluent in English, who understands what's going on there. So, our hats off to Yoshi, and he made the difference between, so they rank it 9.5 to 10 that night at the Ryote Fumoto. So again, if you're interested in that, we had all different kinds of different Japanese food from the season or from the area. Very, well displayed. The exhibit was beautiful. We had really good, beer. They had a special classic, right? Sapporo classic beer is only served in Hokkaido. That's their gente, right? Their limited edition. Only served in Hokkaido. So the moment you get off the train, I was drinking classic because only can get it here, right? Maybe it says sucker. But anyway, they had something, he called it, I don't remember the name. Maybe someone who was on the trip, if you could write in, they put some kind of gas into it. They inject or something about gas so it'd come out much more creamy. So we had a very creamy, classic draft beer. And that guy especially really, really enjoyed that. I think we had at least 3 three glasses, but it was really really good. So again, classic beer with gas in it, and again we had Yoshi who was doing it. So kaiseki dinner, I would suggest if you have the time and make the reservation early. And I would, if you can get, maybe you can request Yoshi Fumoto, and at Yote Fumoto. Great guy, great place. I think a taxi drive, I think it was like 1,000, 1,500 yen from the station. Now, Hakodate itself, to my sister, was not that exciting. There wasn't that much, Motomachi, the red brick buildings, kind of like the Unga buildings, They had a lot of shops and things, but didn't seem to be that exciting. She gave it a 6.5 to 7. We were rained out at the night. So, again, as I said before, Hokkaido does not offer that whole cultural aspect like Honshu does. So you just have to have different expectations, You have to remember that originally Hokkaido was not really inhabited except by Ainu, which were the indigenous people. And only, I think in the 1800s or around there, maybe 1700s, is that Japan started offering homestead land where, I don't know, I think they had to pay somewhat, but just very little. They wanted people to settle there because they needed a buffer zone between Russia and main Japan, Honshu. So they wanted people to inhabit Hokkaido. And those were like a lot of the first settlers outside of the Ainu who went up to Hokkaido. So Hokkaido is more like the last frontier of Japan, if you can say that still. So it's very, very different. Okay, man, people are writing. Good. I'm glad you folks are writing. Oh, nitrogen infused. Okay, so please look at the comments. Guy, Mad Hatta, Kikuchi-san, everybody is writing in. I'm kind of on a roll talking, so they can answer the questions better than I do for a lot of them. Nitrogen. Okay, interesting. So again, Hokkaido is different from Honshu. So for a tour, I would say is that my sister Susan did a very good balance of giving us Hokkaido, and then the second half of the trip was down in Tokyo. Now I'm running out of time, so I'll go a little bit faster. But kudos to my sister. She gave it a lot of thought. I was in charge of executing the tour and solving problems as we went along the way. She was the one that actually planned it. And the planning probably started 6 to 8 months before we left. And her, so obsessed with things, she had to get every single meticulous detail down. But that's why it came out so well planned, was because she put in like 8 months of work into it. So again, 8 months for her, she planned it, I execute. In a way, we were a good team, although, we're like dog and cat. I always used to say, if we weren't related, we wouldn't be friends because we're like dog and cat. But anyway, we're a good team for that. So from Hakodate, we took the Shinkansen down, and because we wanted to break it up, we decided, and my brother-in-law Patrick, he said, yeah, why don't we just go? It was up for grabs. Should we stop in Aomori? This is some of the little different small things that you need to know. My sister didn't know that. You think that, okay, we're going to go through Aomori. The Shinkansen goes through Aomori. So we can just get out, go see the museum and go back. It's just like Osaka, Shinosaka, or Kobe, Shin-Kobe. Hakodate, Shino-Hakodate. It's an extra stop. Even Hakodate to the Shinkansen station, Shin Hakodate, is about a 15 or 20 minute train ride. So it's not that simple. Well, we get to Aomori, and, well, not before, when I'm making the plan, Aomori Station and Shin Aomori, where Aomori Station is where the Nebuta Festival Museum is, and that's where we wanted to go. We're going to break up the trip. So we had, I think, an hour and a half, maybe even about an hour and a half to Aomori. We had to, Aomori, that's where you get off. We had to go to Aomori. Now, Aomori has very few trains. It's not like Shinosaka, Osaka, like every 10 minutes, boom, 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 boom. It was 2 every hour. So we just missed it. So it was like a 40-minute or 30-minute wait. And we didn't have that much time. So we took a taxi, which was kind of expensive to go from Shin Aomori to Aomori to see the Nebuta. They called it Urawase. There was a different name too. But, we went to the museum, the Nebuta Museum. Now, that was fine, but it was kind of expensive, like over 2,000 yen, 2,500. It was kind of expensive. Whereas if we took the train, it was going to be 190 yen. But again, it's a time thing, right? But we didn't know exactly until we were making the tickets that Aomori and Shinaomori. But it wasn't, my cousin and my sister didn't, it was fine. Like even Guy gave it a 6.5. But for me, because I've been in Japan a while and I've been to a lot of festivals, the Nebuta was one that I always kind of wanted to go to. But again, I didn't want to, I don't like the people, right? But after seeing the floats within that museum, and they have it lit up really well with the real floats, I thought to myself, I'd like to go there. So hopefully I will be able to one day attend that. I have a friend, Jeffrey, from Hawaii, who's married to Eriko, who's from Aomori. And we had just talked about it before I came back to Kyoto, about maybe one day we would go there and to see the Nebuta festival. But yes, I thought to myself, the colors and the light up was really, for me, amazing. It's almost like paper mache, kind of like paper they're using, right? Not paper mache, but paper. And it's really, really beautiful. But that's all there was to see, except, maybe eating like apples they're famous for, and what else was there? Was something else. I took a picture from the Aomori sign that it's doing like this, but Aomori doesn't have much. However, you may want to just have that feeling of just being way out in the country. So even in Aomori City, it's in some ways economically slightly depressed, so there's not that much going on. But on the other hand, you would have a lot of places to go, and there's no crowds in Aomori too much. So that's something to think about. Support Aomori, support Tohoku. From there, we went to Tokyo, and as I said last week, we stayed at the Ikebukuro Metropolitan Hotel. Now, in Tokyo, my sister planned that she wanted some of the off the beaten track, so we went to Shibamata and Tsunamachi Ginza. Those two seemed to be the favorites of this group, and because it was very few tourists, very local. People were very friendly and open to tourists, it seemed. And there were gardens in that area, and we had tea at the second garden. For those of you who are older, you may know the actor Kiyoshi Atsumi, who acted in the movie Tora-san. Tora-san is in the Guinness Book of World Records. He has the largest number of movie sequels, 48 in the world, from 1969 to 1995. And he is an icon for older Japanese. Most young Japanese don't know. If you say, who's Tora-san? They really don't know. They may have seen a movie, but they are not that interested in him. His image was someone who was very easygoing, kind of a bohemian drifter or a wanderer. And he was kind of like the traveling salesman who would always come back and fall in love and have his heart broken. And, he had an older sister by the name of, I think her name was Sakura, and acted by Baisho Chieko. And, he would come home, and the storyline was basically the same, but he was loved by the people for just being easygoing and just real, authentic. When I was younger, a couple of Japanese ladies used to call me Tora-san, not because I was just easygoing and just kind of a wandering the world. So I'm not saying I'm Tora-san, but that whole kind of idea of just wandering around and because he would try to help people, and then unlucky in love, and etc., etc. His famous line is "Otoko wa tsurai." It's tough being a guy. And I know a lot of women are going to laugh and say, what the hell are you saying? But anyway, that's his main line. And Shibamata is Tora-san's town. That's where many of the sequels of the movies were actually filmed, in those buildings along that street. So if you are a Tora-san fan, or you don't know Tora-san, go on YouTube or online and try and watch a couple of the movies. They're usually subtitled in English. All you have to do is watch a couple to get the feeling of Tora-san and what kind of guy he was. Anyway, there's a statue at the station of Tora-san, and also his sister, Baisho Chieko. And then there's a Tora-san museum at the far end on the other side of the temple. And we didn't go this time because nobody in the group except me knew Tora-san. But if you're a Tora-san fan or you're interested, there is a Tora-san museum at the end of Shimabata. But what the group really enjoyed was that those streets, no real cars coming down. Everybody, they have tsukemono shops, senbei shops, kind of like Kyoto, but no people, not many foreigners, because it's not discovered yet. And it's kind of out of the way of Tokyo. So not that many people know how to get there or how to find. It's a little bit more tricky to get there. But again, they love Shibamata. And we also went to a place called Tsunamachi Ginza. When you ask a taxi driver if you go by taxi, be careful because you don't want to go to Ginza. It's not even close to Ginza. But it has the name of Tsunamachi Ginza. It's a very local street. And that's where, again, trying different foods, buying tsukemono, buying nori, buying whatever. That's where the group, my cousins, my sisters, all enjoyed those two places. I think they gave it they gave it a 10. So that was from my cousin. She gave it a 10, and my sister, I can't say. Anyway, so again, very well known. We also went to the Rio Ginza, and again, the Rio Ginza was just to see, and that's where they closed the streets on Sunday, right? In Tokyo, they closed the major boulevard streets of 3 places. I think it's Akihabara, Shinjuku, and Ginza. It's kind of neat to walk down the main street, right? When it's all closed, and you got bazillion of people moving around. That's why they have to close the streets, right? So, Tokyo has a population of 14 million people. So on Sundays when everyone's off, if everyone decides to go out or goes to the Ginza, you can imagine how many people there'll be. So they close the streets. It's kind of fun walking down the street, taking a few photos. The famous Uniqlo, their flagship building is there, and it's beautiful outside. They have it well displayed. But I did go in. I don't usually shop, but I wanted to experience it, and I wanted to use the toilet. First problem, Uniqlo, for that many people, when you go in, it's like claustrophobic because there's so many people. And I'm not claustrophobic type, but I could tell as I went up the elevators, it was hot. There's a lot of people. Imagine. And I'm trying to go to the toilet, which is on the 9th and 10th floor. So you got to go like this, right? Or there's an elevator, but you got to wait. So I went to the toilet, the bathroom, and I had to come back down. But it was just very claustrophobic. It was very hot. And I kept thinking if there was ever a fire or earthquake, we would all die in there. But again, that's their flagship building. I didn't like it for a Sunday. Maybe another day would be better. But like my cousin said, there are other branches like in Ikebukuro and things are much better to go to. Or she liked GU, the cousin or the cousin of Uniqlo. She liked to go there in an off place. You don't have to go to the flagship place, although that's where a lot of people want to go. So anyway, I'm going to end in the last 5 minutes. Just a couple last things is that something that got the biggest rating too was the breakfasts of the hotels. So if you stay in a medium and up hotel, then it's a good chance that you will get a good, decent breakfast with the choices of Western or Japanese that would keep you happy. They were very, very happy with the breakfasts. Now, normally I go to a very cheap hotel or business hotel. I don't get breakfast, so I don't really know. But with them, I was eating breakfast. So I was really surprised that there was a big choice of different things you normally couldn't try, and that you could have a choice. Remember I gave you the story last week about long ago, Hawaii groups came to Japan and you could only get Japanese style or Western style, and you couldn't get coffee with the Japanese style. Well, that's all changed now. Now it's open. And they even offered takeout coffee, like you could take your coffee out to your room. That never happened before. I don't know when it happened, maybe in the last 5-10 years. I don't know when it changed, but that's a great thing to have because especially foreigners, especially Americans, Westerners, they want to carry the coffee, or you want to have a cup of coffee in your room. Now at better hotel, well, even at the Shimanami, I remember you could take coffee out. So that was a great idea. So things are changing, not quickly, but they are changing in Japan. So as my sister wrote, they had big breakfasts and light snacks along the way. And like my cousin husband Guy, my cousin too, they love egg salad sandwich from the convenience store. Now, my friend Carrie Ann, who is the foodie of foodies, she told me, I don't know if it was a specific one, maybe it was 7-Eleven. She said the best egg salad sandwich that she ever ate was from 7-Eleven. Now, I think all of them are pretty close. But anyway, for my cousin and her husband, Guy, they both liked egg salad sandwich. I think they ate it every day. That and then the onigiri, the one that you pull down the plastic and you pull out the nori and things. So I am going to close here. They did give me more things of what they liked, but I kind of covered everything pretty well. I do want to end with a last story that might be kind of helpful to some people. I'm just looking at the comments. I'm sorry if I didn't answer all the questions. Okay, someone says that they want to go down to Kumamoto, Kyushu in November. Sorry, I've been to Kumamoto and Kyushu, but not South Kyushu. I don't know that much. In fact, those are one of the places I told my sister that might be fun to visit. Shikoku, Kyushu, Aomori, Tohoku, that area. Because nobody has, not many people have been there. That is the key, I think. I think what I see here among the group, this last group, what they enjoyed was going to places that are off the beaten track. Kind of like why in Hawaii, the show, Soko ga Shiritai, the Japanese show that was subtitled, was so popular in Hawaii for so many years, 15 years at least. And that they were showing old reruns over and over, and people just wanted to keep watching Soko ga Shiritai. I always thought that, well, I can do that. I can make that, But it's off the beaten track places, or places that you just meet the average person, the local person, and there's a story there, right? I think that's what they enjoyed. And maybe that's where it goes to my sister saying that she always wanted me on the trip because I could speak some Japanese and she could hear the deeper story, or the more personal story. Maybe that's why. But yes, there is that aspect to it about, being off the track and not having people all around you, not foreigners all around you, and just doing what the locals do. That's what seemed to be the most attractive, and eating what the local people eat, and going to the local little shops, where it's not crowded. We're buying daifuku mochi from this, I forgot his name. He had a little shop there. We bought from the Tsukemono man, Mr. Murakami. Just little things that the local people are doing because only local people were going there. So I think that should be the next tour, the Soko ga Shiritai idea, where you go to places that people... But the problem is Japanese, right? So as I said before in many, many videos, you are safe in Japan, so you don't have to worry about getting robbed or scammed, but you just have to worry about getting to where you're going to go, finding your hotel, and finding the places in those areas that you can get around without Japanese, or using the Google Translate as a tool. So I'm just looking now at the, is it too cold to wear shorts while biking in the Shimanami Kaido in November 5th to 6th? I'm looking at John Perez's comment. Well, John, I would say at this point, it's going to be okay to ride with shorts. But again, it's supposed to be warm for another week. After that, it might drop. But again, when you're riding, when I was riding in the end of November 3 years ago, I had my long, tights and shorts, and that was fine, and a windbreaker and a long sleeve dry fit short, and that was enough. And that was when it was kind of cold. That was in the middle of end of November. So I hope that helps. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't go through all the comments. I didn't have time, and I gotta get a new computer. Because I can't put the comments on with this old computer. Anyway, I want to thank all of you. Just to end here, I am heading to Thailand this coming Friday, and that's why I'm doing the live stream today. So I'm not sure when I can do a live stream again. I was thinking, what if I did a live stream about the man in Japan goes to Thailand or something like that. Well, or maybe compare some of the things in Thailand to Japan, or some of the things that I observed, or even talk a little bit about Thailand. There's so many videos about Thailand or Chiang Mai, right, itself. I'm going to Chiang Mai. I'm going to study Thai. That is what I'm going to do. I left my job September 30th because it was all I could do. And now I decided, one last hurrah, I'm getting old. Can I still learn a language? Can I still, use the brain? I don't know. And so I'm going to Thailand for a month and a half roughly, and then see what I can learn. So I might do a live stream from there. I don't know. What do you folks think? Do you think it's a good idea? The man in Japan goes to Thailand and what I experienced there, or maybe it's kind of boring. I don't know. Anyway, that's where I'm going. So I might not be on the live stream for at least a couple of weeks. And then once I get to Thailand, Chiang Mai, I will feel and see what might be interesting. But Thailand is one of my favorite countries. Maybe after Japan, well, maybe almost at the same level. It's just that they're so different that you really can't compare. One is so different. One is a developing country with just amazing stuff going on. Japan is much more controlled and safe, and Thailand is safe, but it's more like it can be more wild in a sense. So the question is like completely different, right? Anyway, I hope to do something from Thailand. And if you see me on the live stream in the next month and a half, you know that it's something to do related to Thailand. I would like to do a comparison, but it's hard to compare the two, right? Japan and Thailand. But I've been to Thailand, about 10, 15 times, mainly on business. So I really never got to see, and get to know the people. And as I said in all of my live streams, it's all about the people. And how can you know the people if I don't know the language, right? You can do a little bit of small talk and people who speak English, just like in Japan. But I would like to at least speak a little bit Thai so I could at least get a little bit more in depth. Again, in 1 month of Thai language, Thai courses, language classes, you can't learn very much, but I'm going to try and see. And if I like it, maybe who knows, could go back again next year. But anyway, that's my plan. And so I will see you again. Thank you for listening. Sorry today was so long, but there was so much information in this. And I will do a live stream on the Shimanami one day in the future. And maybe I'll do another live stream about not the do's and don'ts, but what people like and didn't like, and some of the things that they struggled with. Although I did talk about a lot of it here, maybe I could do a short one on that. I'm not sure. But anyway, thanks again for joining me. Thank you for commenting and sharing what you thought. I hope you got your answers. If you didn't, I'm sorry I wasn't able to. The problem with the live stream is I will download it and then edit it to cut out a lot of the dead time. But when I do that, I cut out the comments. And the only comments that will be shown are the ones that I bring on the screen. And because I have an old computer now, I can't bring those on anymore. So I'm kind of SOL right now. I need a new computer so I can do that. But the only comments that can be seen are the ones that I show on. But now my new computer is showing me at least that it can't be seen. So the live will always be on my channel, but it has everything that we talked about today and the comments are there. But the moment I download it and I edit it to make it shorter and I put maybe a couple pictures or a couple short videos on, I lose the comments. And that's the trade-off, I guess. So sorry, everybody. Anyway, Mike signing off. Have a great day. Have a great week. The next time I see you, I'll probably be in Thailand. Kap kum krap. See you again in a couple weeks, hopefully. Bye-bye.